conference because conference has become an excuse to get to the bar. You guys have said, we're going to start at the bar.
People usually leave conferences exhausted and overwhelmed. And our goal is that everyone here leaves inspired and energized.
The ASOTUverse is not possible without you. The conversations, the communication, the collaboration.
Because the spirit of collaboration is one that we want to cultivate and foster within retail automotive.
Relationships matter.
The local system is the winning model.
I want them to come into the store, experience what we have to offer and what our retailers have to offer.
There you go.
Shots fired.
The reality is, when it comes to our heads, even though they lie to us, the sky's not the limit. Your mind's the limit.
The history of innovation is the story of people in difficult situations, in difficult industries, in industries that are changing, and they're forced to invent.
With an open mind and open heart and open hands, we can be more productive, more accessible, and more gracious, but also more efficient, effective, and statistically successful in what we do.
So be someone that other people want in the room. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never, ever forget how you made them feel.
It's our duty collectively to ensure that our culture recognizes the importance and value of the franchise retail dealer.
You belong here in this time to actually affect it and move forward so you can serve more people. So on behalf of everybody you see on the stage, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being part of the very first ASOTUcon. Cue the music.
You gotta be kidding me, dude. If we can't start off the show back in the saddle like that, we got some news to talk about. But we got some ASOTUcon to talk about too.
Everywhere I go, the people really want to know who I is and who I be. They stop and stare when they see me.
Man, this is the first day. It feels like super familiar to be back in the saddle. It feels like we never left, and it feels like a whole lifetime has gone on in between the last time we were in our studios and not. Does it not?
Man, I'm happy to be, like, my wife asked me last night. She goes, are you excited to kind of have like normal-ish day? Which I guess there's no normal day
not around here.
Our world. Like,
not the
there's always
ASOTUverse.
something new. There's always something like dream state. We're literally on Slack before we even get started. Our whole team is planning a brand new podcast, right? And so all of these things kind of circling, but it feels good to kind of like sit in a space and go, okay, we're going to go after the next thing and get kind of our heads out of the dirt of ASOTUcon. But man, that conference was unbelievable.
I had a
Ben
feeling.
Hadley texted us yesterday. He was like, I think ASOTUcon is going to break LinkedIn.
Yep. Yeah, I wonder if we could just mention, like, just somehow aggregate all the ASOTUcon posts and impressions and, you know, backdrops that we've seen. I don't even know how to quantify it. I don't even know if there's a way to quantify it. But hey, if you're listening to the podcast and you're not following us on LinkedIn at ASOTU, please do. We really lean into the LinkedIn community. We love all our communities, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, even. You know, we're trying to get things rolling there. But LinkedIn is where kind of like the bulk of the conversations are happening around posts. And we're going to make a post today, which is, you know, like either post your favorite ASOTUcon photo and tag the people in it, or tell us about your favorite ASOTUcon experience. And hopefully we can get the people that were there, or even the people that were experiencing some of it virtually, to talk about a little bit. So if you're not on LinkedIn with us, follow us at ASOTU so you can be a part of that thing when we release it later on. You know, one of my biggest takeaways was this, Kyle. At the end of, I don't have the brochure here with me, but if you had the brochure and you open, you got it right there. Kyle, read the last paragraph in the intro letter. Show the folks on the live stream the intro letter. You open it up and it says, this event did not exist 120 days ago. And now that event just happened.
And
read the last paragraph.
The very last paragraph says this: may the results of our time together resonate into a new future of retail automotive where dealers are strong and consumers see them for who they really are. Which it's like, no, we don't. Yes. Is there a subset of automotive that has to redefine the way they interact and the way that they operate?
Yeah.
Yes. But there is a growing and like real set of dealers that all that needs to happen is the broader culture, not the individual. I believe that the individual that interacts with these dealers knows the auto dealer network like it should be, but the broader culture, the entire of culture, that consumers understand that that's the reality that retail automotive. You know, I told the team a story actually yesterday where I was wearing the Love People More Than You Love Cars shirt at the airport.
This is a great story.
And I'm going through the line, and
every Smash Burger story is great, by the way.
Yeah, I'm at Smash Burger, right? And I'm going through the line, and I'm recognizing the cashier. She just kind of like punching her card, right? She's just receiving the orders, blank stare on her face. And I come up, and she sees my shirt and just like this broad smile. And the smile that I know, she's like, you better tell me why you're wearing that shirt. So I give her a little bit of backstory, and she just starts chuckling, like belly laughing. And I was able to tell her, like, no, this is actually how dealers perceive the culture. And there were over 400 people that gathered around that. And there's even broader in our community. And she was just like, she just kind of said, okay, there's people like that. And I said, yeah. And she said, that's amazing. And
you got to tell the end of the story.
Well, oh yeah. So everybody's getting their food, right? And she kind of goes like, it's like Mark, Sandy, Paul, right? And she's like just handing everyone their food, and mine comes up and it's a milkshake naturally. And and she like singles me out, doesn't say my name, just goes, yeah, you, and smiles again and hands me my milkshake.
Infectious.
So, yeah, it was like she knew there was a community that she felt a part of, which is really cool.
So another little anecdotal story, we had two shuttle SUVs that constantly ran between the venue and the hotel just to shuttle our guests back and forth. And at the end of the event, who was it, Danielle that told this story? One of our team told the story, and they said they were talking to the drivers, or maybe it was Anne-Marie. I don't remember. And the driver said, what was this conference? It was like something around automotive. And they were like, I have never driven for a conference where the people were so nice and encouraging and pleasant and uplifting and fun to be around ever in their entire career. I was like, oh yeah, that's the car business for you, right? You wouldn't expect that. And so I left the event hearing these stories, feeling the feeling, seeing industry partners collaborate, and people telling us like, yo, there's going to be some products that come out of the time spent here, which was our whole heart from the beginning, right? The great collaboration. And I had this thought, and the thought went just like this. We might just pull this off.
We might just do it.
We might just pull this off. And when I say we might just pull this off, I meant the community of people who know the truth about automotive might just pull off having consumers broad scale see dealers for who they really are. And that is the beginning. ASOTOCON probably marks the beginning of a thing where now this community is gotten out. There were people there. One of my friends said, hey, a lot of people here don't know who you are. Right. And not like that's like, oh, everyone should know who I am. But you think like you're in this echo chamber of your community. And if you made it to ASOTOCON, you must know who we are. Right. Because we're kind of like the face of the brand right now. And I got so excited because number one, I realized the tribe is expanding. Like people found their way to ASOTOCON from other tribe members, and they don't even know who we are, which is awesome because now we get to tell the story afresh again. And it's a reminder to keep beating the drum and telling the story. So everyone who made ASOTO a success, including everyone who followed along on social media, who follows us on the platforms, who interacts with the content, leaves comments, sends us questions, and gets the daily email. If you don't get the daily email, you have to go to asoto.com. That is our shot every day, our best effort to bring this whole thing that we're doing and put it in a way that keeps you informed and entertained a little bit and gives you a few minutes in the morning that remind you of the best things about our industry. So with that being said, we do have some more Auto Collabs podcast episodes launching today. We have a podcast called Auto Collabs where we have longer form conversations with dealers and industry partners. You can just search it on your favorite podcast platform, or we live stream episodes on LinkedIn at noon. And sometimes we do 2 a day. We also have another podcast series called ASOTO Sessions by Effective that is coming out shortly, which is a whole list of like,
it was like this behind the scenes, like, can I say more things here? And people did. It was great. So
yeah, when no one's around in the podcast room, you feel like you can like, let me dish what I really think.
Yes.
I can't wait because I only hosted like 4 of them, maybe 5 of the like 27 something that we did.
Yes.
And so I can't wait because there are like 20 episodes of you hosting and Michael Cirillo, Alana Shabte, Glenn Lundy. Any other hosts I missed? I think that's all of them. We just had people hosting podcasts, so I can't wait to hear the conversations. All right.
Really good.
But this show, mostly for all the new listeners, this show is mostly about giving you a quick shot of the day's news. We had a little extended intro because of a SodaCon, but what we usually do is give you a quick shot of some news stories, give a little commentary, kind of get some conversation going. So speaking of news stories,
you had to give them.
I just had to drop.
Okay,
it's been too long since I've hit the segue button.
I get it. I get it.
Too long.
It's an anxious. It's an anxious hit. We'll get a good one for you on the second one.
Yeah, we'll get a real segue for you. So a lot of people couldn't visit a SodaCon because they were at the Ford dealer make meetings that are going on in Las Vegas. So Ford dealer meetings in Vegas this week have dealers driving and testing EVs and new products and reviewing their options to remain eligible to sell Ford EVs. There's been a lot of conversation and question like, what does that look like? So basically, here are the basics. By 2023, Ford's requiring dealers to invest between $500,000 and $1.2 million if they want to remain what they're calling Model E certified. Now, there are two levels, Model E certified and Model E certified elite. It's very auto-ish right there. Both levels require no haggle pricing. That means all EVs will be sold at one price with no negotiations. Certified dealers will... So two levels, the elite, the Model E certified, which is the entry level one, dealers will not be allowed to carry inventory. So it will be pre-order only. And the certified elite will carry limited inventory and also have demos. The investment money will mostly go toward the installation of fast chargers. So really high speed chargers like Tesla superchargers. Certified will have to install one charger, and the certified elite will have to install eventually 3 chargers. So the certifications are, I don't know if they'd be effective January 1st, 2024. So there's a little bit of time, a little over a year to do it. And it'll be effective through 2026. And then dealers who opt out of being an EV certified dealer can opt back in 2027. So I don't know if it's like 3-year cycles.
Well, I think it's like, hey, look, it seems like kind of a beta test of a program, So it's like, hey, okay, so we got these dealers. They want to do this. I'm guessing that you're going to see the majority of urban dealers opting into this just because urban dealers are where you're going to find a lot more EV
higher adoption
crowds, higher adoption rates. You're probably going to see rural. It's just going to be on an adoption curve. And interestingly enough, I would have expected, people are like $1.2 million, that's a lot. But honestly, like when people got Leaf certified back in the day, and if you wanted to sell Leafs with Nissan, you had to install 3 chargers. Now they weren't fast chargers, but that's still $500,000-$600,000. So, it's honestly not as much of an investment as I thought it would be. Now, this doesn't talk about like all of the regulations on the servicing these vehicles and the type of training that your techs have to go through and the type of tools and all that type of stuff. So there's another, level of investment here. But here's the thing for me. The only thing that I think is interesting about this is that there is a segmentation of, at this point in the narrative of EV, that there's a segmentation of dealers that can sell EVs and dealers that can't. It's weird to me that that's still going on. I know why, like in the 2010s, that was a reality. I mean, even there have been, Corvette or GTR or certified dealers where you couldn't sell the car unless you were certified in that car. You had a salesperson and a technician. So this is not something new to our industry. I want to set that as a precedent. Like, OEMs have been doing this for a while. I think what's different about this point is that, hey, look, it's like if we're going to be in this EV game, it should just be an all or nothing type thing. That's kind of my opinion at this point. I think
it's a lot less than, like you said, there's an element of, I feel like, relief, right? Because there was a lot of uncertainty. At least when you're investing the money toward, like, they're really putting a focus on infrastructure for just EV infrastructure in general. And there are likely to be some government incentives and some money that can go to that. So you imagine all of a sudden that 1.2 million, maybe there's like some kind of 30% tax credit. or something like that actually gets the total investment to be a certified elite dealer, like 700,000, 600, 700,000 to be able to have the model. I mean, it's so much more accessible. Obviously, it's not as big a separation, I think, as people were thinking it could be, right? Like the haves and the have-nots. If you decide not to be, maybe you're in a rural area and you're like, look, I have zero, maybe you're North Dakota,
yeah, exactly.
right? And it's just going to take a while before the general EV infrastructure catches up with you. So I mean, just getting some good feedback from dealers.
For me, real quick, I think the bigger issue here is the requirement of no haggle one price and the requirement of not carrying inventory. Like those two things.
Oh, for the entry level.
Yeah, those two things almost feel a little early for me. That especially the inventory thing, the
inventory thing,
but the inventory thing, man, people still want to drive these things. That we're still in research phase. People don't know if this is something that they want to do,
Well, I mean, you have to have demos. I guess, I mean, a dealer could always buy a car, right? You can always buy a car and there's your demo. I mean, in this environment, new car purchases, people are used to not having it right away. But the second the dealer down the street has inventory, you're at a disadvantage.
Exactly.
Right? The Nissan dealer has inventory. You don't. People are looking for an EV. You can wait 30, 60, 90 days for yours, or you could drive it home today.
Yeah, because you think about Tesla, like they have a whole row of demos at every single one of their stores.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how you could do without demos.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Right? That part doesn't. Mr. Farley said the main message to dealers, which he's never said before because he never believed it was true, is that you could be the most valuable franchise in the industry. How about that? Saying to your Ford dealer, you know what? I mean, because you look at like the darling franchises in the industry, like we had Tom Dahl at Subaru, and like people trip over themselves. They get a Subaru franchise. So that's an interesting statement coming, and it obviously packs a lot of vision in. One dealer, Sam Pack, the CEO of Sam Pack Auto Group in Texas, said he plans to have each of his 4 Ford dealerships become certified elite. The message he heard was one of optimism. Yes, there are a lot of questions that have not been answered, but we'll work through those. This is a learning journey. And just yesterday, we picked up, one of our team shot this over before we started the show. Jim Farley's LinkedIn newsletter yesterday said this, and this, like, let's lean in and see how the practice comes with the preaching, because, this doesn't feel like it really lines up with what we've been hearing. Maybe he's had a change of heart. Maybe he's been paying attention to ASOTU content. I don't know. But he says, our dealer network is our secret weapon, comprised of entrepreneurs who can deliver for customers all the way through the ownership experience. Yes, we agree. These are big changes, but we're up for the challenge. With change comes progress and success. So maybe singing a little different song over there, Ford, a little different than people expected, but time will tell how it rolls out. Speaking of rolling,
segue. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That's what I call a segue. That's what I call a segue. After 20 consecutive hours of negotiations, a U.S. railroad strike has been narrowly averted as a tentative deal has reached. Now, this would have caused major problems for OEMs and dealer, as rail transport, as you all know, is a big way that cars get from the coasts to everywhere else, right? You load them up on a train. It's not like you can only fit 13 on a truck, right? You're talking about moving hundreds of vehicles across the country. Joe Biden thanked unions and rail companies for negotiating in good faith and reaching a tentative agreement. However, if a deal wasn't reached, Friday was the walkout date. Apparently, I didn't realize this, but Congress can act because it's like
nope, can't do it.
Gotta go to work. Can you imagine that? Congress said I have to go to work today.
You're like, union. Okay, maybe not.
Right. We appreciate your efforts. But
well, I think this is a good sign, and I'm glad that it was reached, so we don't have to like have a conversation on Monday about what are we gonna do about
another problem, right?
Another problem. I think
there was going to be a call for every retired dude with the big sunglasses and the big fishing hats from every auction house. You know what I mean? You were going to see an auction old guys everywhere. It was going to be amazing.
Running cars like crazy. Yes.
Auction old guy caravan. I'm going to be an auction old guy one day.
Old guy.
I can't wait. We're going to go to McDonald's and get our senior coffee. And we are going to drive wherever we want.
It's perfect. It's perfect. I love it.
At auction old guy speed.
Speaking of doing whatever you want.
Segue.
Time. Walmart is basically letting you do whatever you want on their website. They have introduced a be your own model experience that allows you to upload a full body image and browse over 270,000 clothing items with what you look like in them. Last year, they acquired a virtual try-on platform called ZKit, and it's powering the experiences. So what you do is you upload a full body photo with a little bit of tighter clothing, so that making sure that they can throw that other clothes on you, and enter your height so you can use the full experience. Really, like, this is wild to me. This is just,
well, you know, one of the things, like, you have all the different clothing types and all the different sizes, right? Which I think is one of the big things, right? You can kind of do AR and see what that looks like, but the way the AI works and like does the way that the clothing drops, the way it shadows, the way it creases, like that is one of those things where it's tough to tell. So like, hey, do I want a medium or a large? Do I want this color or that color? And so I think this just makes a ton of sense for retail. Like, what an advantage. And I'm surprised that it's coming from Walmart. I think for me is the bigger take. Like, Walmart's still like big time in the tech fight, right? And it's kind of like, to launch this out, it'll be
you'd
rolled
expect
out
this from like Lululemon, but not Walmart
first. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So the fact that you can do this now, unfortunately, the feature doesn't support men's fashion. However, that probably says something about how often men shop for clothing online. Right.
Like,
for me, I'd be like, well, what does a black shirt look like?
All right.
What is the other black shirt? That's so true.
But honestly, actually, if they could figure out how to tell me if I need a medium or a large, because that is a massive issue for me. Like, I'm kind of in between, depending on the shirt fit. So if this thing works, it could be a big deal. Like, I mean, my like the size pants even that I have, it's like sometimes they fit, sometimes they're way too short, and I get the exact same ones every single time. And so I don't know if it's going to be that dialed in, but I think it's a cool concept. We'll have to see how many people.
Yeah, the little demo is cool. Click on the link in the show notes. We always put the links in the show notes so you can check them out. Walmart did not comment on how it intends to protect all of these, could be relatively intimate photos of shoppers. How it's going to keep those all safe. But
I'm not going to comment too much on that, but it was my first thought. I was like, oh boy, that's a lot of uploaded photos that are just
that is an uploaded photos inside houses wearing whatever. But if people are uploading the photo, then it, like, look, trade-off and convenience, or I mean, like, privacy and convenience is always a trade-off.
Yep.
It just always is. Right. And so like, I think the numbers will show that there are quite a few shoppers that are just like, yeah, hey, let's see what these clothes look like. They trust Walmart. Honestly, Walmart is, in my opinion, a more trusted brand, like with data and privacy, than Amazon.
Really? You think so?
I think so. I think people are, because you think, in my mind, this is how my brand mind thinks, right? And this is just one person's opinion. I think, and this isn't always like, this isn't holistically true, but I'm thinking like Walmart, Arkansas, family-owned business, right? Conservative still, right? And then you think Amazon, Bezos, like trying to move data around, trying to leverage people's data. Like, I just feel like people think like whatever Amazon's doing, like I'm probably their
I guess you're right. I mean, at this point, like if someone's got data, they're utilizing that. I mean, we haven't seen. I know. We haven't seen the Walmart ad network, but come on,
it's coming. They have a couple data points on consumers. Couple. Two tree. Well, that is the show for today. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for joining us today. It's usually a little bit shorter, a little bit more punchy, but we gotta welcome the new people in properly. Go out there, make some trouble. Let's show people who dealers really are.